Hi, my name is Enzo. I'm the founder of Dental Tech Expert. And nowadays, 7 out of 10 customers that I talk to on a daily basis are doctors that are trying to do one of two things when it comes to digital dentistry. They're either one, try to build a chairside workflow, or number two, they're trying to build a full arch workflow. Those are completely different types of digital technology, both on the equipment side and on the skill set side that they're going to need from their team. So my goal here today is to break down those two in detail. But before I do that, like, subscribe, do something about this video. Let's start with the chairside workflow. A chairside workflow has been coined by Sirona with the CEREC system. How does it look like? You're going to need an intraoral scanner, a design and nesting software that usually go together, a milling machine that is usually a 4-axis wet only, and a standing glaze oven after that. The most well-known one is the one that I mentioned, the CEREC system, which has the Sirona Prime Scan, the Sirona Prime Mill, and the Sirona, I think it's called the Speedfire, the oven, and they all come together with the in-lab software. Another great option for a chairside workflow that has been growing a lot on the doctor side is the Up3D So Real system. It consists of the same type of equipment. So you have the intraoral scanner, the software that is combined, the mill, and the standing glaze oven. The scanner is the Clariscan Up 610. The software is the UpCAD and UpCam altogether. The mill is the P42 Plus, and the standing glaze oven is the F30. When it comes to the skill set that you're gonna need, most doctors can handle a chairside workflow with them or their assistant doing much of the work. So what kind of work is that? You're going to need someone to design, and the softwares nowadays, they guide you with a lot of AI. They're going to guide you on how to get a simple crown, pretty straightforward. And you're going to need someone to do some staining and glazing after all. Of course, the level of aesthetic, the level of detailing that you're going to need on this case determines the level of technician or the level of the ability of that person that you're going to need. That said, let's talk a little bit about numbers. Some of you might have in mind that to be able to do chairside dentistry, you need to spend well above $100,000. I have to confess and guarantee you that nowadays you do not have to spend more than 40,000, maybe 50,000 if you want to have a chairside system. For example, the Up3D So Real system, you can get the whole thing, with intraoral scanner, software, mill, and the oven, all for less than $37,000. And you have companies financing for over 5 years. Now let's leave the chairside workflow aside and let's talk about full arches. And this is something really important that we have to talk about. There are a lot of differences in technologies and techniques needed for full arch. First of all, the type of equipment changes. If you're doing full arches, most likely you're going to need zirconia. You want to do zirconia full arches. So you need a different type of equipment. You need a 5-axis dry only or wet and dry mill depending on the materials that you're going to use. The design software also is a lot different than the simple chairside. It has to enable you to do a full arch, not just single crowns. The scanner, ideally you should have a scanner that enables you to do photogrammetry, or you have an intraoral scanner with photogrammetry. So let's break down a couple different options of each one of those equipment so you know what to look for. In terms of scanners, if you want to have a scanner with photogrammetry all in one equipment, definitely look for the Shining 3D Elite. If you want to have two separate equipment, one just for intraoral scanner and another one just for photogrammetry, you can, for example, look for a Medit i700 or the Trios 3, 4, 5, whatever, and combine that with a PIC camera or an iMetric 4D. There are a lot of different options of photogrammetry systems out there. Once you have the scan and the photogrammetry done, you're going to go to the design. And here in the design software, I honestly see 2, maybe 3 options of software that will fit the needs that you have. Number 1, definitely Exocad, 3Shape, and maybe Blender if you have someone with a lot of experience in design. From there, you go to the mill. And right now, if you're going for an in-house lab or if you're trying to have the mill inside your clinic, I would choose a dry only compressor-free mill. A couple really good options are the Up 3D P55D, which is a really affordable one, the Ceramil Motion Air from Gearbox, the VHF E5. Those are probably the most famous ones, and they all have the same configuration, which is 5-axis, dry-only, compressor-free mill. Great for that type of workflow. From there, if you're working with zirconia, you will need a sintering oven. There is no need to worry about fast sintering if you're doing full arches. Most likely you're gonna sinter them overnight. You have a wide range of options. Pretty much every mill manufacturer has its own sintering oven, but if you want to go really premium, you can look for brands like the Kima, Neighbortherm. If you want to go really on an, I'm not going to call entry level, but more affordable options are 8-ite, Up 3D, like I said, Up Sierra. They all have great ovens as well. And one thing to be really, really clear, after you sinter, you still have to do some staining glaze to it. So you still need the porcelain oven to finish it all up. That's the workflow that you're gonna need. Now, when it comes to the skill set, I honestly don't see a viable way of doing full arches in-house if you don't have a technician to do parts of this workflow. So let's start with the design. Design is way more complex than designing a single crown because you're doing the full arch. This is something that you can outsource. Outsource design to, there are great designers that do just that. They can do same day designs. They can do up to 3 hours turnaround depending on who you negotiate with. But this is a complex part. Now you designed, you milled. Before milling, there is some work to be done on the grain state. Ideally, this is done either by a technician or by the doctor, but then I think it kind of misses the point. And the finishing of that full arch, the staining glaze, or maybe if you want to do a little bit of stacking ceramics, that has to be done by a technician, or to say it a little bit better, it only makes sense time and financially wise if it is done by a technician. So to summarize it all up, chairside dentistry, yes, you can do it with your team. Full arch, you should consider definitely hiring a lab tech or partnering up with your lab to do parts of that workflow. And that's it.